Wurzels have certainly hit the nail on the head. It's a beautiful, bright day here in Weston. We've got a massive queue here. Hopefully they're going to give me a good old Wurzels welcome outside the Winter Gardens here on the seafront. Are you ready for this? Yes! The doors are open and there are hundreds of people all wanting a special Flog It valuation. And appraising the antiques and collectibles from Weston are experts Anita Manning.
Not my bag.
And Michael Baggott.
Hold on to them.
Later in the programme, I'll be visiting a local treasure which very nearly disappeared in the nearby town of Clevedon. Well, I wasn't expecting this. But for now, it looks as if two things of interest have already caught Michael's eye. Well, I've left the auction behind for a little while and I've popped out to indulge in a wonderfully nostalgic experience, one that very nearly died out. Welcome to the Curzon Community Cinema, here in the heart of Clevedon. Now, this is one of the oldest continually running cinemas still operating in the world. But in 1995, it nearly disappeared, and it was due to follow in the path of so many other doomed independent cinemas, if it hadn't have been for the people of Clevedon. The Curzon had a special place in the hearts of so many of the people in the community that a large group of them got together to save the cinema. Hence, in 1996, it became the Curzon Community Cinema. In doing so, it's guaranteed a cinema is on this site for many more years to come. So I think I should cough up my £5.50. Hi there, hello.
Hello, hi.
That's my ticket. Thank you. Cheerio.
Bye.
There's my ticket.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't expecting this. That's fantastic. It's like a throwback to the 1920s. It has all the trappings of a traditional picture house. Well, I've got my popcorn, my traditional cinema ticket. We got these incredible 1920s surroundings. I'm starting to see what the people in Clevedon saw in this little gem and why they wanted to save it. The first cinema building erected on this site was named the Picture House, and it was the brainchild of Victor Cox, a local sculptor and monumental stonemason. The grand opening of the Picture House took place on the 20th of April 1912 at 7 p.m, and the cinema was packed to capacity with many people being turned away. Since its opening night about 100 years ago, the Picture House has gone through many reincarnations, but the most crucial moment in its history came in 1995, when, as a cinema, it was on the verge of closure. Gareth, it's a pleasure to meet you. You're the director of the Curzon Community Cinema here in the heart of Clevedon, and I'm so pleased they saved this place. Why do you think it was so important to keep the cinema open?
Well, I think a venue like this can provide a real focal point, not just for a community, but also because it's a link to the whole heritage of cinema and to the picture houses from the sort of golden age of cinemas in the 20s and 30s. So we have people in Clevedon who have been coming here for decades and have now been able to introduce their children and even grandchildren to going to the traditional cinema in their hometown.
How did the people of the community go about saving the cinema?
Well, when they heard that the company who owned the building had gone into receivership, John Webber and a group of like-minded people basically formed a registered charity with the aim of buying the building and keeping it running as a cinema for the benefit of the community. So there was a great deal of publicity in the local press. There were public meetings held here in the cinema which you know, had people spilling out of the doors. A lot of people put money in to try and raise the money to keep it going as a going concern.
One of the things that first struck me when I came in was the relaxed experience. Is that a policy that you want to maintain?
We certainly try to keep a friendly atmosphere and to give people a warm welcome, whereas I think a lot of the bigger cinemas have this people have this feeling that they're slightly impersonal places, whereas we try very hard to make this a kind of a unique place to visit. It's very much at the heart of the community.
And it's a trip into nostalgia as well, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
you've got the old cinema tickets, you've got the organ, you've got the... just awesome embossed walls. They look like Moroccan red leather. I know they're not, but...
Most of the auditorium that we're sitting in now dates back to 1920, although there has been a cinema on this site since 1912, so we're nearly 100 years old. But, I mean, the embossed metal panels are a big part of the reason why we gained listed building status.
What I'd love to do is have a wander around. I know there's some interesting things out there, but at least show me the projection booth and backstage.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Yeah, of course.
I'll follow you then.
All right.
Here we are in the projection booth, the Nerve Centre. I guess this is the most important room in the cinema, really.
It is, yes. For anyone wanting to watch a film, it certainly would be.
Yeah, so the pressure's on the projectionist.
Absolutely.
How does the film arrive?
Well, we have two main projectors here. I mean, we have one which is your 35mm projector, which is essentially how film has basically been shown for the last 100-odd years. And on a 35mm traditional film print, it comes in a big box like this.
So a courier drops this off?
A courier drops this off.
And it costs a lot of money, that, I'd imagine.
But it comes in up to sort of 6 to 8 separate reels.
So that's the standard 35mm format?
Yes.
There is an option now, isn't there?
There is. We do also have here a digital projector.
OK.
And the film comes in a rather different format for this. I've just got one here.
This is kind of state-of-the-art kit now.
It is, yes. I mean, this is Che Part 2, which we ran last week.
So this is the whole movie in that little case?
This is the whole movie in this little case, and it comes on a hard drive. So what happens is we put this into the server on the digital projector, we download the film, and then we can show it on the digital projector as many times as we've got it the license for. So
it's a lot cleaner, a lot simpler and easier to use.
It doesn't have the wear and tear that you can get on 35mm prints, and it is a lot easier to operate. It's so simple, even I can do it.
There's some other treats here, I know. I know there's definitely a balcony. I'd love to see that.
There is a balcony upstairs, but we're going to go from something that's very modern to something that's a little bit older.
Well, here we are in the auditorium, up in the gods, so to speak. Why is that false ceiling still there? Or why did they put it there in the first place?
Well, they put it in there in the early 70s, and at the time it was really a perfectly sensible economic decision, unfortunately.
So, out of sight, out of mind?
Well, I mean, it was at an era when cinema attendances were just dropping through the floor. I mean, it's a really big space to heat, as you can imagine, so at the time it just made sense. It was easier to run the cinema without the balcony in operation, unfortunately.
This is great up here. What a space.
It is.
Look at that. Look at that ceiling. It looks like you've got space for about, what, 100 seats? A bit more, maybe? I don't know.
A little bit more, I think, certainly at the time.
You could fill these.
With the right film, we could absolutely fill it, yes.
Yeah. Would you contemplate sort of having luxury seats up here, wider ones, or something like that?
I think, yes, I think we quite possibly would. I mean, I do sometimes meet people, older people in Clevedon, who reminisce about sitting up here when they were kids.
But the fabric of the building is here, it's intact, and it can be achieved.
The roof above the ceiling is about 80 years old now, and it is leaking in several places. So we are working on a fundraising drive to patch up certainly the worst of the leaks. The first priority has to be to make sure the fabric of the building is safe and sound for the next 3 generations.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, you and your team, and thank you so much for sharing a bit of time with me and showing me around.
My pleasure.
This cinema obviously holds a very special place in the hearts of the people of Clevedon. And after visiting the Curzon Community Cinema today, I understand why. It's great to see an old picture house like this, going from strength to strength, run by the very people that depend on it.